Star Wars has made us dream of fighting Dark Lords and making the jump to hyperspace, so when amazing projects get cancelled, we're not too happy about it.
It's not fair.
The Force was not strong with these gems, but we sure would have loved to see them come to fruition. Want to know the epic TV series that could have brought us a weekly dose of action? How about that spin-off film that got shut down last minute?
Very interesting.
Watch this video as we reveal the best Star Wars projects that should have made it to the big screen. You'll be shocked to learn why some of them were shut down, even after being made.
See what you got.
New around Screen Rant? Hit that subscribe button below for more great videos just like this. And if you like Star Wars as much as us, give us a like. Now let's see what we're missing from the Lucasfilm universe.
You are free to use any methods necessary, but I want them alive. No disintegrations.
As you wish.
Boba Fett standalone. Fans have been obsessed with the cool armored bounty hunter dude known as Boba Fett. So much so that Disney had many plans to give Boba his own standalone movie. For a while, it was even going to follow Rogue One in the Star Wars anthology films. The notorious cloned hunter has become a fan favorite, but there was some drama behind the making of his own film. They were actually so far into development that they attached director Josh Trank. Articles began popping up all over the internet, getting fans stoked for the film. However, at a panel in LA, Trank dropped out days prior and then left the project. Looking back, people suspect it was for a massive superhero film he was offered, Fantastic Four. Josh Trank did not exactly abandon the project though. An official reason was never given, but guesses are there was drama on the Fantastic Four set. In 2015, Lucasfilm came close to officially announcing the film along with releasing a teaser trailer. What happened to this promising film? Well, don't get your hopes down just yet. Disney is making decisions about how the Star Wars anthology films will work, and it's very likely we could see Boba Fett's own movie on the list in the future.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Star Wars Underworld. Close your eyes and imagine a Star Wars television series filled with action, epicness, and lightsabers everywhere.
I like the sound of that.
So when Star Wars Underworld, a series that was in talks as far back as 2005, fell through, fans were not happy. The series was to be a live-action story that would include a young Han Solo, Lando, Boba Fett, and more. It would have explored a darker side of the universe, described as Western meets gangster-style series, with the core of the story following Emperor Palpatine, who gets his heart broken by a gangster lady. George Lucas and producer Rick McCallum worked on numerous scripts and even assembled a writing team to get the project moving forward, completing 100 scripts. However, when Disney acquired Lucasfilm, there were a lot of changes. Ultimately, what halted the project was the cost per episode, which was going to be exorbitant. Lucas himself, as a businessman, noticed that to have this scene in homes was going to be too heavy a cost. This is the biggest unrealized Star Wars project to date, and the one with the most disappointment from Star Wars fans. Now, just a could-have-been show that will keep us up at night channeling the Force to get it made.
You want to give me that sandwich?
I'm actually gonna take this home to my dog.
I am your dog.
Detours, animated comedy series. Would you ever think that Robot Chicken would be used in the same sentence as Star Wars for a legitimate reason? Well, we just did. Robot Chicken creators Seth Green and Matthew Seinrich joined with Lucasfilm to create an animated series centered around the lives of the inhabitants of a galaxy far, far away. Of course, following Green's notable comedic style, the same was done in Detours. We're happy to report that this actually does exist somewhere in the cosmos. The exact whereabouts are most likely some dark closet in the basement at Disney, where they hold captive all of the Star Wars material that they kiboshed. The series, which was made back in 2012, had a season and a half worth of material produced, a total of 39 episodes, meaning they exist, so why can't we see them already? Well, you can take that up with Disney. When they acquired Lucasfilm, this was yet another casualty of the switch. The episodes were put on hold to focus on production of The Force Awakens, but the series sounds so fun, set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, as comedic characters explored untouched corners of the galaxy. We're certain the episodes can't rot forever. They're bound to surface one day. As for now, it's a waiting game. May the Force be strong with all of us.
Just you reconsider playing that message for him. No, I don't think he likes you at all. No, I don't like you either.
Robots spin-off. R2-D2 and C-3PO are the cutest robots that ever lived and ever will live. Or don't live. A spin-off was planned for the loved characters, but it never saw the light of day. This was, of course, another George Lucas idea back in the 1980s, when apparently his mind was working on Overload. It seems he had a spin-off idea for all the famous characters, and we would have loved to watch them all. Lucas spoke to Preview magazine about his idea, saying he'd like to make a film about robots with no humans in it. Talk about otherworldly and out of this galaxy. In 2018, we still haven't seen this film be considered further, but with the new lovable BB-8, couldn't there be a pretty great film? A droid-centered film may just be the break we need from humans today. By 1981, Lucas stopped talking about the robot-only film altogether. This film cancellation was most likely due to studio executives not seeing where box office success would come from without a major name actor. In 1985, an animated series was made called Star Wars Droids, which ran for 2 seasons. The series centered around R2-D2 and C-3PO before they began serving the Rebel Alliance. Our bet is that that is the closest you'll get to seeing something focused solely on our little robotic buddies.
As long as she lives, I will always control you.
The Force Unleashed 3. Not to make this too serious, but this may be the most waited for, the most wanted, the most anticipated Star Wars video game ever. And we're not making an overstatement. Why? Well, for one specific reason. The second game ended in a seriously dramatic cliffhanger that left fans drooling out of desperation to know what happens. Hence, when The Force Unleashed 3 was canceled due to problems at LucasArts at the time, fans were distraught. Okay, we're being pretty dramatic now. Let us rephrase. Fans were unhappy. The second video game actually wasn't too well received by gamers, but it was that cliffhanger that left them wanting the next one. Critics accused the game of being a massive money-making scheme because it was easy to complete and was short in length. When you dole out the dough for some awesome game, it's gotta be worth it. After all that criticism, the third game was going to be a redemption for the trilogy. Once again, Disney is to blame. It's up to the massive Mickey Mouse company to resurrect this one if they choose. For now, fans will just have to imagine what happened. And maybe that's for the best. What do you think happened after the terrifying cliffhanger at the end of Game 2? Leave us your theories in the comments below.
The original saga was about the father, the children, and the grandchildren, and they've taken it in a different direction, and I'm excited to see, since I didn't use my stories, I have no idea what they're doing.
Lucas Sequel Trilogy. We already like the sounds of this. A sequel trilogy doesn't get much better than that. George Lucas had been throwing this idea around since 1979, and if it had seen the light of day, our Star Wars journey in 2018 would have been a lot different. Lucas had planned many more films after the trilogy right from the get-go. Stating in 1980, it's a 9-part saga that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. He went on to explain that the series of films spanned over 50 or 60 years with an average of 20 years between trilogies. So this wasn't only an idea, this was a hardcore plan by the brilliant creator. In 2008, Lucas said the movies were the story of Anakin and Luke Skywalker. When Luke saves the galaxy, redeems his father, that's where the story ends. Plot-wise, Skywalker would have another sister we haven't learned about yet, a new love interest, and his own children. Themes would include right versus wrong, legacy, and passing on knowledge. Sounds pretty awesome to us. The films went on without Lucas's original idea. In recent years, Lucas has made it clear that he's mainly a consultant on the films and only says minor things, so it's hard to say if this next batch of Star Wars films really was from his original concept. Wookiee movie. Let's take a time travel back to 1980 when George Lucas wanted to make a movie solely about Wookiees. In an interview, Lucas said, "I thought of a film just about Wookiees, nothing else. So for a time, I had a couple of odd movies with just those characters. And we quote, Wookiees, nothing else." Who doesn't love the sound of that? What are your thoughts on an only Wookiee movie? This is one Star Wars casualty that makes a lot of sense. We do love Wookiees, but we can't quite imagine an entire film dedicated to them. However, it is George Lucas, and he might have at least made it somewhat interesting. Wookiees have an interesting quality, that of life debts, which would have definitely been used as a major part of the plot. We'll never know though, as it didn't get much further than Lucas's imagination. On denofgeeks.com, they rate the chances of resurrection as nil and say that after that interview, no other mention of a Wookiee movie was ever spoken again. Their guess is that some bigwig studio executive shut it down before it could even see the light of day. Could we just have Chewie as a nice, gentle friend instead of fighting for justice out somewhere in the universe?
Cargo lane cleared for descent to level 1313.
Catch a deep breath. It'll be the last fresh air you'll get for a while.
Fresh air is overrated.
Star Wars 1313. This is another extinction that occurred in the Disney buyout of Lucasfilm. If you're a gamer, then you're certain to remember Star Wars 1313. There were going to be exotic weapons, fast-paced combat, and perfectly thought-out plot elements. The game had a higher maturity rating, meaning the game was going to be darker and grittier, as it explored the depths of Coruscant's lower levels. E3 even previewed a trailer in 2012, meaning they were deep into creating the game, garnering excitement from all 1313 fans. Then the sad day came when Disney took over and shut down the brand in April 2013, as well as LucasArts. This created some major beef between fans and Disney. Disney said the M-rated game was too risky, though LucasArts was already praised for its top-quality design, gameplay, and graphics. Disney decided to use LucasArts as a licensing model, meaning that they would outsource game development to other companies for a wider variety of games, aka to make more money. Seeing as Disney threw out the trademark, we're not so certain the game will ever be played, though fans still have hope that Disney will relax and let this game see the light of day.
Well, I guess you don't know everything about women yet.
Splinter in a Mind's Eye. When George Lucas was developing Star Wars in the 1970s, he hired a novelist to write a book of the films. The writer was Alan Dean Foster, who actually wrote a follow-up novel named Splinter in a Mind's Eye. The plan was to use this second novel as a follow-up to Lucas's first Star Wars film. In Foster's novel, Luke and Leia were lovers, and he wasn't aware that they were actually siblings. The couple was on a mission for the Rebellion, searching the galaxy for an artifact that had connections to the Force. Lucas was using this as a backup plan if the original Star Wars did well enough that Fox would greenlight a sequel. Turns out Star Wars did better than well, and there was no need to use the book as a foundation for the second film. Lucas was able to make a big-budget sequel, The Empire Strikes Back. So this is where it all began. If it hadn't been for this massive success, we'd all be slumming around having to watch the siblings kissing on screen, though we're certain they would have cut that part out. The novel was published in 1978 and was available for fans to read while they waited for Empire to be released. And that's some Star Wars history for you folks on the lost sequel. Darth Vader TV specials. Darth Vader is the most notorious villain in the Star Wars series, uttering the most famous line ever said through his breathy mask,
I am your father.
We have chills just thinking about it. When a Darth Vader television series was in the works, our excitement was through the roof. However, this series was yet another Star Wars casualty. Why didn't this series happen? Well, there isn't a ton of information out there on this one, but in 2013 there was a leak about this possible series. The European brand licensing show had a photo leaked of a brochure that led to rumors about the Darth Vader series. Jedi News leaked the photo that clearly stated Darth Vader-themed TV specials. After that, nothing else was heard. There was no information about whether the series would be live action or animation, or if it was in development or just a pitch. Questions from fans arose quickly and none were answered. Darth Vader has been in Rogue One, as well as the second season of Star Wars Rebels, so perhaps he won't ever see his own series come to fruition, not to mention his great Marvel comic book run. Do you think a Darth Vader special or series will ever be created? Which film of the show did you think was the most shocking to be canceled? Is there any you would have desperately wanted to see? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to give us a subscribe and stay up to date on all the entertainment goodies. Thanks for watching and see you next time.